Well, hi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me in my shop, me and my cat in my shop here. Today is June 28th. Pretty gray and dark outside, but supposedly no rain coming today. Well, maybe later today. So you see the radio behind the cat here that we're going to start working on. This is a Loewe Opta radio, a European styled radio. Pretty sure it was built in Europe too, and then probably brought over to the United States to be sold, or in Canada to be sold here in North America. So right off the bat, these two knobs, they're not the correct knobs. The correct knobs are missing. And lots of push buttons on this radio. So it has a bar here which should rotate. And it is not. It's probably a little string broken in there. This one's also not rotating properly up in here. Pretty dirty, but like a lot of these radios, it's showing signs of corrosion on these letters and numbers that are on the dial face on the back of it. And I guess it's some kind of copper type material that they've placed on the glass somehow. Some technique, and the copper corrodes. You can see some here, some here, and some here. It's very, very common in these radios, unfortunately, and there's not a lot you can do about it. It looks like something's broken here a little wee bit. I don't know how that could happen. The cabinet itself is in pretty good shape. This is a rounded cabinet, so if you were to refinish it, you got to do the whole thing. You can't just do the top. The top has a little bit of damage, but not bad. This is not bad. A little bit of polish on here would look great. This is pretty dirty on the front here. Looks like it has a magic eye. And it's got medium wave, short wave 2, short wave 1, and FM. It has FM in it. The FM band, 88 to 108. So this radio was built for North America, not for Europe. Now often there's a lot of writing on the back of these. I can see the start of a letter here, but not a lot written on the back of this. Here we have the price tag. $40. It works. It does, eh? And then we've got this. This would likely be the shortwave antenna here, coming out with a clip that's lost its spring. I think we're just going to nip this right off here just to get it off. So we don't have a chunk of metal floating around like that. So built-in FM antenna. This is the lead that goes to it. It's plugged into the radio here. This plug is smashed. The plug is smashed. Okay, why don't we take this out? Oh, it's a mess inside here. It works, eh? Sure. I even have my doubts about that. I coiled this up and stuck here. Dumb. That was dumb on me. I see all the tubes in there. I see spider webs. I see a fuse. I see some very unreliable capacitors in here. It's not done right, but there's no flying strands in there. Well, they say it works. So it has two electrostatic tweeter type speakers in it. My experience with these is they're almost always dead. Electrostatic speakers are not like a regular speaker. They are working on high voltage. And so replacing that is really very difficult. But rather than condemn them just yet, we can expect them to not work. Let's see, the string appears to be intact. I didn't try tuning the radio. Does have these type of capacitors in it. Oops. These kinds. One here. Probably a lot underneath. There's a capacitor here. It's got piles of junk on the top of it there. See that? Stuff coming out onto the top of it. These are the two IF transformers here. We have two terminals here, probably meant to have a wire come from here just to the chassis, just to make sure these cans are grounded. There's solder on it, but there's no wire. That's kind of weird. Why would that be? Where would the wire go? Can I point to this fuse? In these radios, sometimes the fuse is just for the high voltage circuit. It's not a power fuse. Made in West Germany, it says here. Or export, I'm sure. Okay. Well, should we plug this in or not? That's a good question. Plug it in and see if it really does work. I think that's probably a good idea. I mean, it says it works. Let's find out. Okay, let's plug it in. I've got a spare cord I'm using. Now, I'm not plugging this right into a regular outlet. I wouldn't do that. This is going into a outlet that has a way of restricting the power that's going to come out of it. Very simple way. Maybe we should plug the FM antenna back in. Okay. So, volume here. These knobs turning separately. I think they're supposed to turn separately. This is smashed here. And okay, and this would be tuning. For the first time, I'm moving the pointer. Okay, it's one pointer. Some of these radios, they have two pointers, and they have a gearing mechanism. And when you flip to FM, you get a different string, a different pointer moving, but not this one. Seems okay. These are tone controls here. It says bass and treble right there. So we're going to put them kind of in the middle. Oh, you can see this does actually move a little bit. Doesn't look right to me though. Okay, we have quite a few buttons here. This is a PU. I think it's a pickup. This button doesn't feel right. Hi-fi, voice. So these are settings. Jazz, voice. When you push the button down, the labeling disappears. So they had to relabel it there on the back. But then you can't, when you push when the button's up, you can't see the back labels. You have to label these buttons on both sides. Okay, off button. There's no on button, so you turn it on by selecting one of these bands. Medium wave is what we should probably start with. Volume is fairly down. It's the Rhine Pearl, I think it's called. The Rhine Pearl radio. Okay. So the restriction of power coming to the radio at first is done by using these two ordinary light bulbs back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the electricity through those light bulbs on its way to the radio. What this does is some of the power gets consumed by the bulbs, so less power comes to the radio. If the radio has a really serious problem, the light bulbs get really bright, and I'll know it right away. And the light bulbs themselves can actually play a role as almost like a test instrument in the way they brighten up. Okay, so here's the expectation. When I turn the power on, lights will come on. I'm going to undo one light bulb here. So it's all about this light bulb here. All the power goes through that light on the way here. The light will come on bright at first, and then it will go dull. It may go right out, may not even see it, hard to say. And then it should brighten up again. The whole thing should take about 15 seconds, and at the end of it the radio should be working. Yeah, probably there's something wrong with this radio. We could take a wild guess that there is, and that's not what's going to happen. Something else is going to happen when we operate it. So let's watch. Here we go. I flip this switch here down. Power goes through the lights. I flip it up. Power straight from the local nuclear plant right into the radio. Here we go. But the button is depressed. You know what? We're going to start with it off. The reason for that is a lot of these radios, the off button doesn't work. You can't turn them off. Let's find out. So you see the light has come on. The radio is drawing power even though I push the off button. There's no lights on the panel. Already things are a little weird. I can see a tube is lit up back here, and another one's lit up over here. Okay, just looking for reassurance. So I'm going to push the medium wave button. Make sure it's got some kind of onness, proper onness. So we're at 80 volts. I can hear a hum. Heard a little click, a couple little clicks in there just now. This is very low, 78 volts, very low for a radio like this. 90 is maybe the lowest it'll operate at, typically. And I'm just giving it some time for anything bad to happen. That's going to happen, but nothing appears to be bad. I'm going to raise the voltage now by screwing in the other light bulb. That'll reduce the restriction because the bulbs are in parallel. It'll raise the voltage on the radio, maybe get it up into operating level. That funny sound. Okay, screw in the other light here. We're on 90 volts now. That's often enough to make a radio like this work. Still no sign of panel lights. Just hearing a hum, a quiet hum. Static and stuff. Okay, so I want to raise the voltage higher now. I still want to keep the dim bulbs in place. So I'm going to, I have another device here that controls voltage, and that's this guy here. And I can just turn this knob and raise the voltage up. Get it up around 100 volts or so. But at that point the radio really should be operating, if it's going to. So that's 105 volts now. Come on, radio, do your thing. See, works. That was right. The note was right. For some people, this is working. Boy. Interestingly enough, that is an interference sound that is commonly heard in my shop. Why not the rest of the? So it could be the button hasn't made proper contact, just in case. Turn it down. No. Sometimes you gotta let these guys know who's boss. Pop. Stronger stations down in this area. Nobody home. It could be the radio's operating, but it's weak, and so we just can't hear the result. I have a outdoor antenna available. It has two. This has two terminals here. No writing on the back of the radio anymore. Oh, there was writing. The writing is there. If you just angle this right, you can still see it. Very good. Low Opta type 5716W means it was made for the West. That's us here in North America. And I suppose maybe Britain too. Maybe these are floating around in Britain. So we want to figure out the antenna arrangement here. So clearly this one side is the FM side. I mean, that's obvious. It's a ground symbol here and antenna symbol there. And what is this wire coming out? Why is this here? Who put this on? This looks like somebody's addition. What would prompt them to even do that? Oh. Huh. Bit of an answer there. Somebody has soldered this wire onto a point up here in the antenna tuning system. This is not the wisest thing here. Let's just take a look inside. I've got another camera that I can get a little bit of a closer view with here. What is going on here? Attach the green wire to a place where you see the brownish, yellowish wire going off to the left and down in. So if this connection is really meant for AM radio antenna extension, we'll probably have to look at a schematic to really figure out what's going on here. The tube we're looking at is the FM tube, I believe. Where all that popping is. Well, whoever did this knew enough where to hook it up. Okay, so these sounds are not the best. Quickly, we have an opportunity here. Let's not waste it. What's making the popping sound? That's a real hot tube at the back here. That did it. The radio getting noticeably quieter. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to work the two pins to scratch them up on the socket and make a better connection. Seems to be the case now. The sound you're hearing can easily be a defective part like this. Capacitor, can be a resistor, can also be inside these cans. A little bit concerning. Let's try another band. Wait a minute. Where'd that station go? It was here, and now it's gone. We were doing good there. And then I wiggled the tubes. It's not very likely that this no longer having an effect is not because I wiggled the tubes. I'm pretty sure of that. That's disappointing. It only took me, what, 3 or 4 minutes to break the radio? It's pretty quick. Okay. The most likely thing is this is a shortwave antenna input. There is no AM antenna connection on the radio. It relies on this loop. What has happened that somebody put this green wire on here? I don't know. This isn't even soldered. It's not even soldered. Or what? It looks like he's, I don't know what he's done. Done something there. Probably remove this. What's he done? What have you done? One of the reasons to remove this, I don't like this wire hanging out of the back of the radio. That's one good reason. Oh, I got the great big cutters here. Okay. Now, because this wire's there, it could be in compensation for something else that didn't work, and this is how the guy got around something. Or, I don't know what he was doing. You know, this input doesn't do anything anymore, and he got frustrated, or he discovered that the AM antenna could be affected by touching this. It could at first, can't anymore, because I broke it all. She's broken too. Let's try another band. Another band now. Which way? I'm not going around too many times here. Let's go this way. Okay, another band. Well, we'll go shortwave 2. This is from 2 megahertz up to 7 megahertz. So conceivably now we've turned on this. Not doing much. There. This is a connection to an outdoor antenna. We hear nothing. Now we should hear nothing up here also, because it should not be engaging with this loop antenna anymore once it's on short wave. So we'll try shortwave 1. Shortwave 1 is much higher, 7 megahertz up to 22. Volume's up all the way. Sometimes when you hear a scratchy sound like this one, doesn't sound like the scratchy sound you normally hear. It's a more hissy sort of. It usually indicates DC is flowing through the control, and it's probably not supposed to have any DC going through it. Same thing can be true of volume controls and stuff like that. If you hear that, and a scratch, you cannot clean it away, by the way, no matter how hard you try. That's from a capacitor leaking somewhere in the radio. So we're getting nowhere here with, I mean, it was doing good there for a bit. Okay, well, we're going to try FM now. So we're engaging a very different circuits in the radio. We're trying anyway. terrible it is that it was working and now it's not. Let's get this turned up. How could that be? What did you do to it, Jim? I don't think I did anything to it. Beyond wiggling these tubes, which again really can't explain why it would stop working. Let's go back to AM. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure the antenna is switched on, and we're going to try to boost the signal on the antenna in the radio. And what voltage are we on? We're at 103 volts, and that should be enough to operate the radio just fine. Maybe we need to raise that a bit more too. Okay, I'm going to take a little break here, and then we'll try jamming the signal into the radio, shoving it in. Okay, so I'm going to just take this simple loop of stuff here, loop of wire. I'm going to clip it on my antenna lead. So this is now an outdoor antenna firing this loop up with signals. I'm just going to stick it right over the top here. So I don't want these to short. Made a big difference, didn't it?
At Foodland, swipe your Scene Plus card for a chance to win 150.
Sorry about that if I blew your ears off just now. So the radio had a wire extended on it. The wire was extended from the AM antenna. I touched the wire, the radio worked better. Then later something happened, who knows what. Now I'm boosting the loop antenna, the wire is gone, and the radio is working. So here's what happened here. For one reason or another, the antenna failed to produce enough signal, and somebody tried to overcome it by extending a wire and making a wire antenna and try to pump more signal into the radio. Kind of similar to what I'm doing, only I'm doing it a lot better way than that person did. So it raises the question, what's wrong with the antenna? Why won't it pick anything up on its own? A loop antenna like that, a rod antenna like that, good antennas. Why wouldn't it pick anything up? There's some directionality. I didn't really try the directional thing because the radio was so quiet. Well, the answer to that question is a couple things. Could be, again, bad components like capacitors associated with the antenna circuit. Could be something has happened to the antenna. The wires are very fragile, and the wires are all exposed in here, and it's easy to get in there and break one without knowing it. There's adjustments and tuning here. Somebody may have fiddled with this, and without using proper equipment and the proper method, they would do nothing but deteriorate the radio's operation. That's quite possible. All these things are possible. Even a weak tube. So the antenna is working, it's producing a signal, but it's not enough for the rest of the radio, and I've boosted it big time by doing what I've done here. And so it's overcoming the weak tube down the road. That's possible. Didn't receive any FM. The FM tuning is very different from the AM tuning. The two of them are not really associated with each other. So one could be good and one could be bad. They don't necessarily travel together. But if they do, if both of them are weak, both of them exhibiting the same thing, then it has to be a common circuit that the two of them are utilizing, which is later on in the radio here. In terms of boosting it with an antenna on FM though, a little hard to beat the antenna that's in here. This is going up to I can feel it, an aluminum strip going like this, strip antenna. It probably comes down you can see it here, it's coming down the sides. And then there's probably a coil. Yep, there's a coil in there, so it's all tuned up. It's a very purpose-built antenna. It should do the job here. There's not lots, but there are FM stations close enough to me that strong reception shouldn't be a problem. We'll try the FM again in a moment. We'll also try the AM again without this loop, without this boost. And what we'll do there, turn this right up. I can hear it. Can you hear it? In this position, the antenna's null is aimed at the station, so we can't hear it. Here, faint. Okay, let's see if we can pick up something more stronger. The answer would be no.
To be quite the same.
Even just putting this up here. Full volume. Let's get a little stronger here. I want to check the
There, but it's fine. So
dial accuracy.
in a pinch, it's definitely better than doing nothing at all. But I wouldn't rely on it if maybe you're thinking about going diving in the ocean.
Dude, so what did you walk away with?
Well, he's also concerned about the $5 increase that this plan calls for to the national debt limit. And then Senator Tom Tillis, who's concerned about the cuts to Medicaid.
That's American.
And the impact of the
That
bill
could be a
on
Canadian station.
constituencies. It all comes down to water, really.
There's a French station here that I know is at 860. That's Hamilton. That's the French station at 860, so the dial is accurate. So we should get 590 here.
Marley's writer at the
Yep.
Hockey News.
You see, the radio actually sounds good and receives good if it can get a signal. And the only way it's getting a signal is because I'm blasting it with one. So my guess is that regardless of what else might be wrong, there's something going on with this loop antenna. Even I can boost it. That's probably what happened. The guy probably touched this and went, oh, that's a spot. A lot tuning, and more tuning back there too. Wow. The thing about European style radios is they use 2 to 3 times as many parts, I would say, as a North American one. And by doing that, the engineers could achieve a better result from the radio. Now, when the radio's old, it's just got that much more to go wrong with it. So they dilapidate pretty thoroughly, maybe compared to a North American radio. Does that really make sense? It's a fair bit of rust in here, and something's been spilled inside of it, it looks like. Some liquid got into it. Something funny went on there. Interesting that it doesn't hum bad, but the filter capacitor has just got junk coming out of the top of it. Well, the fact that we've heard it work also indicates that it's really in pretty good shape. In fact, all the main parts are working. Unlike the last radio I was trying to work on, actually the same fellow owns it, the other radio too, that I was just working on for a couple days and discovered the output transformer was shot on it. So what to do about this now? What's a good thing to do? Well, I think probably just the standard maintenance service activities, which basically replacing these old capacitors. There's one that's got the guts blasting out of the back of it over there. Get rid of these old capacitors. There won't be that many, 50. And then after doing that, you check voltages, make sure the voltages are correct. If they're not, hunt down a resistor or something that's causing a problem, get rid of that. Once the capacitor is gone and voltages are good, tune the radio up following the proper instructions, and we're done. Now, I can see on here it says 120, 127. So these are different input voltages from the line. So this fuse is most certainly a line fuse, a power line fuse, not a high voltage fuse. And the radio probably does not have a high voltage fuse in it, but some of these do. Okay. Well, that's the plan of action. Okay, let's take this guy out of his cabinet here. So it looks like someone's tried to repair this even. But you know, that's where the tightening screw drives in. And if you drive it in too hard, eventually it'll crack. And that's what's happened here. Someone driven it in too hard. It may not have cracked when they put it in, but later it's going to crack, you see. There's a crack on this one right down in here. I took this off without even undoing the screw. Yeah, not in good shape. Let's get this guy off. Wow. Right, screw, Jim. Didn't I just learn that? There's a screw. Doesn't feel right. I managed to undo the screw. This one's not cracked. Maybe you can't see it, but there's a hairline crack forming right here. Again, from being over screwed. Screwed by the screw. How much you want to bet the original top knobs also got ruined for the same reason. I ended up replacing them with these. That's my guess. Didn't have to take those knobs off, did I? Did I? Don't. Yeah. No, I did not have to take those knobs off. But that's okay. No harm done. What we want to look at now is, how is this on here? 1, missing 2 and 3. 3 screws. Somebody's put aluminum foil here. What are they trying to do? They're trying to mimic probably the foil that was on the other side of this paper. A lot of these radios are built so you don't have to take the cabinet out, but you can take this, like see, this is a slot here. Slide this card out and access underneath from there. Let's try that. Normally I would take the cabinet right out. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Why did I do that? We're going to slide that out. Oh, I wanted to see about tipping this right on its front. Oh, so it's perfectly fine to put this right on its front. We're going to do that then. This corroded screw out of here. It's loose. The green on it means there's copper involved. This is probably brass screw. Okay, can we slide this? So how did somebody get the tin foil in here and then slide this thing? That must have been quite an achievement. I'm going to disrupt the whole thing though, sliding it out. Ooh. So here's the original. aluminum foil, and then someone's put a sheet over top of it to try to imitate it. It's all corroded in here where the brass was meeting up with the aluminum. And a little bit of moisture. Got yourself a corrosion cell going there. Well, it's really not exposing the chassis as much as I'd like, but let's take a look up in there. I'll use the other camera, but first I am going to stop the automatic focus here on this, or it will drive us nuts. So I'm just going to turn it off. Okay, I'm going to adjust the focus up about like that. Here we go. Let's go hunting. What can we see? So I'm looking for anybody's done anything in here. I'm interested in that. It looks like a broken string right there. This is probably the one of the tone controls, and that's probably the drive string for the little rotator indicator. I have a cat crying behind me. This one doesn't look too good either. Looks loose and slack in there. Okay, so you have a little indicator when you adjust the tone. This thing rotates in a little window, and you can kind of tell where the tone is set. That's the idea. So here we have a bunch. This is classic. A whole pile of push buttons, and then up above are all the connections to the push buttons back in here. And see, they built the radio right on top of the push button set, using the push button set as the kind of the framework to build everything on. That's why I don't like these radios. Because all this stuff is here, and then all this other stuff is back there. Yeah, sure. We're just gonna get right in there. What is that in the background there? That looks like something kind of broken. Just looking with a camera here, sometimes we get funny, because it's not because it's not in 3 dimensions when you're looking at a camera like this. Sometimes you don't see things for what they really are. Lots of coils here with very fine wires on them that somebody could easily break. But the radio's working if you give it enough of a signal. There's a circuit board. And it looks like it was flow soldered. It looks like that. See anything interesting? I don't. Okay, come back this way. Great big capacitor there. Adjustments, spider webs. Well, there's nothing jumping out here. Not a lot. I don't see a lot of these unreliable capacitors like that one that's right in the middle of the screen. I don't see a lot of them in here. That's because I probably haven't looked in the right spot yet. I think we got to take the chassis right out. There's a capacitor back there. There's no way to get at it with the chassis in place, so it has to come out. What exactly is it you can get at? You know what you can get at with this plate off the bottom, the cardboard off the bottom. You can get at all the tuning adjustments, all these adjustments. You can get at them all. Probably get at them all. A little awkward here. I guess you'd have to drop your. I'm not doing anything here. I'm just showing. I guess you have to drop down the adjustment tool this way to get it through the slot here. But that's not many adjustments. Aren't there many more up inside further? There should be many, many more. Okay, she's got to come out. So I think it's a pretty straightforward here. Have I talked about the weather? The weather today is gray, kind of ugly. Here. That aluminum foil he put in there, I mean, there's a chance it could have bunched up and gotten right in here and shorted things out, and boy, that was really not a wise move. The having the aluminum there or not having it there won't make much difference. Like if I operate the radio like this, just because it doesn't have a bottom metal plate, it won't make a lot of difference. Most radios doesn't make much difference at all. Sometimes the bottom plate is all about fire protection. It's not about radio reception. What is this? There's a square head screw driven in there. Why is there a square head screw? This thing was made in Europe. They don't use Roberts screws in Europe. So my flashlight, please. Whoa! Yeah. I'm gonna need this to deal with it. Let me get a. This would be the right one. And I want to reach in. First of all, let's get this guy going in the right direction. You'll see why I grabbed the power tool here. A little overkill here. And the oh, interesting, the nut has stayed there. Now is it there because it's, I think maybe it's hey, maybe that's normal. The nut appears to be spot welded onto the frame. That's crazy. And Roberts, it's got to be something else. Over here, it's the same arrangement over here. There's a nut just inside. Why would they do that? So there's these two holding it. I guess I would be the other two. That's it. Why not back here? Why wouldn't they have a screw back here? I don't know. Mysteries abound. Okay, we want to take this put this stuff together before I start having it disappear. So I don't think there's anything holding it in now. Let's tip it up and look closely inside here before we do this. Now most of these radios, they're made so you can swing the chassis out and the speaker wires can stay. There's enough speaker wire to swing out the chassis. And I'm saying swing it out? Yes. Rotate it outwards. This one has a magic eye up here, and it's cabled right in. There's no, it's got to come down from the clamp up there. And there's some piece of wire around it or something weird up there. I don't know what it is. So let's just pull this out. If we can, we cannot pull it out. How come? Okay, so what I can do is I can leave the. I can't even do that. We can't really see what the problem is. Let's take a look with better camera here. So if the tube is just in this metal clamp, but I couldn't turn the tube or anything. It's probably just stuck, you know, from years and years of being there. And I thought, well, I'll just pop the this off. I can't really pop it off, there's not enough clearance, but I can slide the tube downwards. I could then pop this off and leave the tube in. But if I can slide the tube downwards, I can slide it right out. Looks like I can slide it right out. I can slide it down. Can I slide it down? That would be the question. Can you slide it downwards? Oh, this thing just does not want to move. Oh, there we go. Slid it down. And now I bet you I can get it right out now because I've got much better leverage. Don't break it, man. Oh my gosh. Okay, you're not going to come out like that. So I'm going to take the socket off the tube here if I can. Okay, that's off. And that's enough. We just leave the tube behind. Okay. Put this back here. It should come out. I'd like to grab it by the transformer, but the transformer on these radios often is hanging off the end, just like this one. It's not up on top. But I can still get a grab on it. Is it loose? Is it loose in here? Oh yeah. What's this over here? What's this action? So this is the speaker wire going up to the I'm a little surprised at that. What's it doing coming out of here? Okay, we need to just take a little look right in there and see how this wire is handled. Just going in. It's not a plug. And it's just going up, up, up. I have to disconnect it from here. Because the idea of swinging, see, and then the wires continue over to the other speaker. Now the weird thing about this, here's the other tweeter here, electrostatic tweeter here. No wires attached to it. The weird thing is, is it weird? The output transformer is nowhere to be found. Okay, I won't say anything. I thought the power transformer there for a minute was the... I was going to comment, this was the output transformer. What are they doing with the wire over here? But this is not the output transformer. Okay, coming out. Coming out further. Okay, this wire's caught. Wow, that could have really wrecked things. Coming out further. So this wire is going to the main speaker. Wow, this is a problem. I'm swinging it out this way. That's what's happening. I think I'm swinging it this way. We're swinging. We're not swinging anywhere. We're swinging nowhere. So, contrary to what I said, this particular radio, you cannot get it out without disconnecting the speaker. Pretty sure of that. And be a little bit careful up there. The speaker has two wires coming up to it, but one of the wires is connected to the metal frame here of the speaker to ground out the speaker metal frame. So that's the grounded side. And if I disconnect the wire and then stick it back on later, that might not be a good idea. So we need to mark the ground wire, and I need to remember it when I mark it what it is I've marked. Say, oh, look, here's a pair of wires. One of them's marked. What's the mark mean? Okay, so a little piece of tape, please. And mark. What a weird pen. Put a G on here for ground. A G, I need a pen that works. What kind of a shop you operating here, Jim? Okay, G for ground. Is there any way I can not understand what I've done? Like, it could be 3-4 days before I get back to this. Okay, so we're gonna disconnect the wires there, and I'm gonna desolder them. I'm just gonna cut them. No reason to. This is where the mistake is made. So I'm gonna hang on to the G. I'm hanging on to the ground wire, grounded wire. I don't really know the implications of not of flipping this around. Come on off. I'm trying to cut more than the wire. There we go. The G. Could be it would introduce a bit of a shock hazard if you stuck your hand in here and touched the frame of the speaker and then touched the chassis. Maybe. I don't really think so though. Okay, so we still have this wire, but now I can swing it out. Let's swing it. Swing it. It's a swinging radio here. I don't know if we got enough here. I don't think I got enough. Not a friendly radio. So this one here. Jeepers. What I'm trying to do is get the radio turned upside down so I can examine what's underneath. Actually, this would be a good time to examine what's on top. Why don't we do that? Get a better view of it here. So, wow, there's some pretty ugly looking stuff. Let me switch to the other camera here. We have a coil here that's been disrupted, but it's probably not a big deal. We got a capacitor there with its gut coming out the end. Another one barfing out its stuff here. Ooh. This guy might have got cooked because he's between tubes. This is a hot tube. Tall tubes, hot tubes. That's the filter capacitor barfing up its stuff. And look at this. So it barfed up its stuff. His stuff ran down the side and got on the board and did all that stuff. And there's the other end of this capacitor. Look, it's split. It looks like it's split open on the side there. So hey, that's pretty ugly, isn't it? There's electrolytic capacitor. That's possibly the FM detector capacitor. That's the back of a light bulb. I didn't see any lights come on this thing. So not a lot of parts up here. That's just about the end of the road. Those are all resistors there, I think. Every one of them. And yeah, not a lot of parts on here. Back here, this one here. Well, these are just terrible looking. These capacitors look terrible. But I believe the odd one is in pretty good shape when you test it. Cut it out and test it. Now here's a capacitor here. There's a good chance I'll look at this. What was that on the back of my finger? It's gone now. So here's some funny business here. This is where the person had soldered on that green wire. Looks like soldering iron smashed the plastic housing here, melted it all down. He's done bad things there. Anything else get damaged here? See, there's some very light wires. I gotta hold still while I do this. Oh, this whole thing is. Oh, that's not good. You see how it's flexing all the wires and all the leads? You know, that's just not good. What's going on down here? That tab that's wiggling back and forth, isn't that kind of weird? What's that junk on that? This guy here at the bottom, there's somebody hit with a soldering iron. What's going on there? I don't know. Here's a nice symbol there. Beautiful. Looks like I feel like I'm on an archaeological dig. Is that a wire? No, that's a piece of cloth. See, something's going on here with this antenna, because it wouldn't receive anything on its own. So I think I see a broken wire right there. Now, where is there? Let me poke at it just a sec here. Get one of my favorite poking sticks. Yeah, it's going nowhere. Where's the other end to it? Ooh, boy. This is probably why this doesn't work. This broken wire right here. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, there's an end. Hanging down here. There's that a string. So that's probably a piece of wire. This is probably the problem here with the antenna. If you get in here with bad lighting and big tools, you can't even feel the wire when you break it. You won't even know it. Do I sound like I've done it a few times? Yeah. Okay, out this way. What's that red one at the bottom here? What's this? Doesn't look right. I'm gonna be careful with these things. Engineers do tricky things, especially when they need very little capacitance. This, I don't know what that is. It's not really held up tight to the coil here. Like if this were, it almost looks like another little coil. I don't know what that is. Yikes. Is there another end out here somewhere? What's this for? If you pull hard on this, the thing will pop. You know, like those toys you get. There's another one out here. So I gotta guess, I don't know why these are here. You'd think if they're part of the manufacturer, they'd cut them away afterwards. Why are they still here? This is a wire in the background here. Antenna wire itself looks okay. Does this look like somebody's been fooling with a soldering iron here? I don't think so. I don't see any loose ends. It's a little further back in the radio, a little less likely to damage it. This is the thing about the European radios. You could argue they're better from the point of view that they sound better, work better, but they're terrible from the point of view of trying to restore them. Okay, so down here is the this is the FM tuning module here. FM's a much higher frequency than the AM or shortwave, and you have to handle it much more carefully. And so all the exciting stuff is inside this metal box underneath the tube here. And it's virtually inaccessible in terms of taking it apart to repair something inside here. It can't be done. These holes you see probably lead down to adjustments. You have to stick some kind of adjusting tool down the hole and get to some screw or something like that and make an adjustment. The FM didn't seem to work either. No, these are factory adjustments here we're looking at. This one's out where it could get damaged. What's all this junk down here? Well, what is all that? So if you want to adjust this, you gotta get this. Oh, look at it. What is it? It's glue that's not very gluey anymore. Hey, Spider-Man. Can't tell the spider webs from the wires. I have to get a new stick. Okay. Basically, I'm just looking everything over very, very carefully. Yeah, I was surprised that this radio worked at all. Huh? So I think the question would be, can I make this radio work just by fixing this wire up here? But we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's just keep looking around here. I'm going to flip the radio over. I can't flip it over. Stand it up on its end. So this is the heavy end down here. That's where we would want to stand it up. But then this wire is going to interfere. I can throw it right on its face. Tip it right over. With the knob sticking out and everything. That might work. So I'll put it on its back. That would work. And back. Or the face. Wow. I think maybe we're just going to try it on the face very lightly here and see what happens. I think that's just fine. That's just fine. Here we can see the, it's almost certainly the rectifier, or the power supply rectifier. So this is probably a high voltage rectifier. This wire, where'd this come from? Probably sitting like this. Why would they want to do that? This is maybe bringing the connection to the, to this stuff here. That's probably what that is. A little bit of corrosion on it, corrosion all around here. Looking now at the camera you're using, just looking generally in here. Again, lots of very fragile light wires, all exposed right here. Okay, my own safety, I'm breaking my own safety rules here. I should always have the plug out when you don't want it on. There's quite a collection here. Give me my spider web stick. Quite a collection of capacitors and parts right in here. These look like highly reliable capacitors, these ones. So there's spider webs all over the place here. They look like wires. Oh, there's the spider. I don't think he's doing so well though. This is a little like the last thoroughly scary movie I ever went to see. Alien. That movie scared me to death. And afterwards after seeing it, I said to myself, why am I doing this to myself? I mean, I was frightened out of my wits and I did not enjoy it. Good movie, but I just didn't like the tension. The tension was just enormous in that movie. Well, this is a little like, looking in that spaceship at the start of the movie, and they find this abandoned spaceship with the eggs in it. Weird dead creatures from another planet. What's this? Ooh, that's my stomach. Did you hear that? He's calling out for a coffee break. These kind of look messed up. Just looking from this range, we'll put the close-up camera on them and take a look. And there's one of those less reliable capacitors tucked way up inside here. the radio did work. It seemed to me if the antenna worked, we'd be almost done on this. Let's put the close-up camera on it, and then after that, sounds like a good time for a coffee break. Start over here. Oh, presto, another capacitor hidden. Oh, look at that resistor. Now, at a glance, it looked burned. This one here. I'm just dragging my nail across it, and that doesn't feel like it. I'm not sure what was going on there. It's got too many bands. Okay, looks good. Didn't get a chance to see the string. This part of it looks okay. Looks like a pretty heavy cord actually, which is good. Okay, just moving along. That resistor has a hole right in the end of it there. That can be a sign of a defect. Also, there's a spider right here. The spider, they live their entire lives in the back of this radio. This is all they ever knew of the universe. It's the back of this radio. Hanging on. You might have a whole community in here. So does any of this look like it's been distorted, like it's been smashed or touched? These parts are inaccessible unless the chassis comes out. So how they would get smashed? This would have to be out like this. It's kind of weird looking. See, we'll look down the top of these adjustments. They're all waxed up, which is typical in these radios. It doesn't mean it's inaccessible, but it's just another problem. Try to go in and adjust one of these. You have to deal with all that wax. Pretty sloppy in terms of wiring. Hey, the wires are just going every which way, and didn't lay them down flat on the chassis, or in some cases builders will bend every wire at a right angle. That part down there, is it missing its other wire? No, it's not. Parts back here. So that's because we're looking at the bottom of the board, and the parts are on the top. We looked at them already. Sometimes they sneak the odd one underneath though. There's a coil up there. It's that bare wire I can see. We don't really see it. It's way up in the air. Okay. Well, I don't see that anybody's done any work in this thing. Somebody's fiddled around with the antenna connection. They probably broke the wire and themselves without knowing it, and found that they could bypass a bunch of stuff with a green wire coming out the back of the radio and get things going again. But it would never be as great as the original antenna. Did I look up in here? Yeah, I did, yeah. And that's the rectifier there. Made in Germany. Okay, we've looked everything over very thoroughly. All we found is one broken wire on the antenna structure, I guess I could call it, antenna structure. And that really, all indications are the radio is ready to work. it's just not getting something from the antenna. So it all adds up. Broken antenna, weak radio, it all adds up. So we're going to stop for today. Tomorrow I will intend to try to sort this out up here. We'll try to get the schematic and look everything over and try to figure out what's going on and try to get this corrected. It's probably just as simple as spotting the two ends of the wire and figuring out, no, they must go like that. And it's probably that simple. And then I'll bring the antenna back to life, and no need for the what's that cardboard thing again? No need for the green wire coming out the back. That's the plan. That's the plan. So that's what will be happening tomorrow. Great. Well, thanks a lot for watching today. And the radio I had here yesterday, if you're watching my videos as I post them, the radio's away while I sort out what to do about the speaker output transformer. I have not abandoned the project. I'm just not sure what to do about it. So again, thanks a lot for watching today, and have a great day. See you on the next video. Hello and good morning. Guess who's in the shop here with me? Right off the bat. He's in here. Okay, so that radio that's behind Bert is the radio I'm going to be looking at today, and my job today is to assess it and determine what might be involved in its repair, what condition it's in, and here he is. Oh boy. Okay, let's take a look at this radio. Bert, you have to move a little bit. A little bit more. What are you doing here? He's trying to attack the camera itself now. Ow! Come on. Oh, he's in his play mood. Yeah, I think we gotta start again, frankly. I think that's just too rough a start.